Work, 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 work.
Hello.
Hey
Hello,
there.
everybody.
Hey everybody!
Hello.
Welcome, welcome!
Hello, hello. Work, work,
We are so happy to be able to
work.
celebrate Gay Pride Month with everybody
Yes.
because of COVID. There's no parades, and at our channel here, we support inclusivity and being able to love who you want to love, and being able to love more and live free. So we
Mm-hmm.
just want to
Yeah.
thank everyone for showing up. And I've got my phone on, so I'm hearing my delay, listening to myself
Yeah, you
speak.
are.
So
Go.
we
Work,
are Late
work.
Night Snacks. Thank you so much for stopping by. The lovely lady above me is Miss Dewanda.
Hi, everybody.
The gentleman to this way with the
There you go.
flashing pride wand is, who are you tonight? Are you that
How
guy?
are you
I
tonight?
think it's
You on
that
my
guy, isn't
face?
it? Yeah, that guy's on there.
No, there doesn't say.
Okay. Yeah, just down there. That
Oh,
guy.
hold on. It will in a second.
Oh, I was going to say it's not. There it is. Okay, is that guy, and he's not hiding today because he wants to
Nope.
be
He's
here with
not
all of
hiding
us.
today.
No
And the
hiding
other
during Pride.
beautiful woman to the other side of me is going to be is here listening, and will be here in 2 seconds.
Yeah, more than two, but I'll be there.
We'll be
Yes.
there.
So let's see who we got here. Hey, Deb. Hey, Katie. How are you?
What's
Hey
up, what's
Oh,
up,
how
Katie!
what's up?
awesome.
He's
I
Ladies
swear.
here.
here.
Hey
Katie, you got
Blaze!
your gift in the mail. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad to know that you got it okay.
Good, good.
So, we are here to talk about gay pride, LGBT issues, inclusivity, and to just have fun.
Yep.
Yes.
So, we're going to start with the gay member of our
Who?
panel.
Who?
Who would
Only ask
that
me.
be?
Oh, something crazy.
And so we're
Where we
all
start
going
with?
to kind of talk about how the gay community has left a mark on us, how they've elevated us and helped lift us up. Some of us because we are gay, some of us we have just gay people in our lives,
Mhm.
and we just would like to say, take it away, Mike.
Well, I have something a little special we do later on in the show because I thought it
Okay.
would be fun to look at queer history through a different lens, and we're going to look at it through Marvel Comics and what they've done because there's a lot of really interesting ways they handled it that shows how history handled, just LGBT rights and stuff. So it's pretty fascinating. But my story is typical. It's really really basic typical. It's an unaccepting family. Um, I didn't have an abusive family in that right. They never threw me out or anything like that, but it was completely unaccepted, completely not talked about, unheard of. Uh, Figured it out in high school. Came out, freaked out. That I came out, ashamed, hid, lied, the whole deal. Then found friends. Found it when you find a community, it makes all the difference in the world. So I was hopping a fence at a gay bar at 18 years old and found the community, found friends, and my life changed. From that. So I was on the cusp of real change in the country. Like I came out in the late '80s, right at the early '90s, and that was right when things were starting to be fought for because we just gone through the AIDS crisis, and when we were going through the AIDS crisis in the '80s was LGBT issues were still like taboo. It was still so wrong. It was so tainted, and then it wasn't until the '90s where people stood up and said enough and we started fighting. So I was right on the cusp of that fighting back, and so I went through all of that stuff. The very first prides, the first you marching in the street with just a T-shirt on, and you were marching for your rights. It wasn't a big party or celebration. You were out there to show you were with the community, and you were not to be feared or scared. All the way through, gay marriage and Prop 8 and all that stuff. So I've seen my fair of civil rights fights. It's not easy. Anybody that's ever gone through it, it's not an easy thing to go through at all. So my heart goes out to the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's going on right now because it's emotional. It's tough. When we were going through Prop 8 in California, we literally would come home and see commercials or signs in our neighborhood street that about how we were, monsters that were going to terrorize their children. So you're sitting there eating dinner in the comfort of your own home, and your television's telling you this. People in your office that you've known and worked with for years all of a sudden turn against you because of the whole Prop 8 fight. It's real ugly. So civil rights fights, you do it for a reason. Do it to get to the points where we're at now, and not take no for an answer. Not let people treat you any differently than you want to be treated. And that's what pride's all about. I'm not a big pursuer of pride now because I think we've lost our way a little bit with pride. I think pride's become more of a monetized reason to spend money and to party, which is fine because if you party about love, about acceptance, whatever, that's one thing. But pride to me has always been about the civil rights movement. It's always been about what are we fighting for, and so that's my personal journey.
Miss DeWanda, do you have a story you'd like to share with us?
Here's my take on it. I grew up in a household where you treat people the way you want to be treated. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I've never understood the whole hatred that people have of the gay community. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me whatsoever because they're people just like everyone else.
Yeah, it's
They
hard.
just want to live their life.
That.
Yeah, they just want to live their lives. And some of my best friends on earth are gay people, and I adore them more than anything in the world. I mean, my husband's best friend is transgender.
Oh, no wonder you couldn't hear me.
Well, that's like coming out for some of us that have gone through some really, really hard, unaccepting type relationships with family, friends, whatever, is so traumatic to young people. Like when I had my first sexual experience with a man, I came home and I freaked out. I mean, I literally felt that I had done the worst crime in the world. And I sat in the shower and I cried and I tried to scrub my skin clean. And it's a very, very, very tough thing to go through for some of us. And, that's why I'm so absolutely mortified, repulsed, disgusted about gay conversion therapy. Gay conversion therapy is abuse. To put any teenager whose mind is already fucked up because of what's going on around them, when you're a teenager, everything's confusing. Everything's just different. And so when you take those emotions on top of somebody trying to change you in physical and mental ways, it's abuse. Those parents should be charged with abuse for putting teenagers through gay conversion therapy. It's absolutely sick.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was, unfortunately, and we are now blessed that now it's celebrate. I mean, I want to celebrate with everyone. Could you go back, Jawanda, and highlight Blaze was talking about a show?
When
When
it started, it was all on the cusp of silence equals death. Remember the old saying, silence equals death? And that's because people stayed silent so long during the AIDS crisis, they just ignored us. And millions of people died. And so we stood up and said, enough, no more silence. And that's what these marches became about. That's everybody took to the streets because silence equals death.
And how great is it that turned into more of a celebration of life?
I love Steven Universe. In fact, my all-time celebrity love of my life is a female performer called Jennifer Paz. She does the blue one. I'll get her thing out in Steven Universe. I know her personally now. She's the original Kim that I saw in Miss Saigon in LA. Love her to death. Steven Universe.
Very cool. Hey, Alicia, how are you, baby?
What's up?
So, my story is one of celebration. Everyone knows I'm a little bit. Well, we're all a little special. We're all special here.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that Lady Di hung out in the 70s in Hollywood, dressed like Magenta.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, believe me, the people on Hollywood Boulevard in 1978 hanging out at Hollywood are going to be a lot of of gay people. A lot of my first Frankenfurter.
She froze.
That could go many different ways with how she ended that conversation.
I know. Yep.
To me, my whole life has always been as part of the community. I remember at 16, I'm dressed like Magenta and I'm in the bathroom at the Tiffany Theater. And the gay guys love the way I did my makeup. So I used to teach them how to put mascara on and eyeliner, especially.
I used to wear that in the clubs.
Of course. They all wanted to look like David Bowie back
I
then.
was going to say, who didn't?
And I walked outside the theater and this big black Harley Davidson pulled up in front of the theater and had a helmet on back then, even though it was a woman. She took the helmet off and it was this girl. And I found out her name was Leather Karen. And she looked like, I'm going to age myself, Susie Quattro. Susie Quattro is a rock star who played Leather Tuscadero on Happy Days, which is probably the only way most people know who she is. This girl looked like her, except leather. They would never give her black leather. So this girl has the shag haircut. She gets off a motorcycle. She's very, very petite. And she walks over and everybody else knows her and they're introducing me as the new girl. And I was, for the first time in my life, smitten. So like, who's this? Who's this person? Mm-hmm. And I ended up being like, her friend or whatever, but I'll just never forget her coming over to me and just the way that she was. Most of the people at that time that I had met that were down there were mostly men. And then after her, other women started coming as well. And even up to fast forward after I get married and I get divorced, what do I do when I get divorced? I go to the Palm in West Hollywood and I go dance with the girls.
Yeah.
And what else do you do when you get divorced?
I go to the gay bar and dance with the girls. I cannot imagine my life without this amazing community in it. It's just changed. It changed my life when I was a young girl. And I think that's why I see people the way I do now. It just shaped me and turned me into me.
I wish. It's amazing.
Without that wonderful experience and without all those amazing, men, women, people who were so accepting of me when I was not necessarily the most cool person in school.
All accepting of everybody. That's what's so amazing about it.
It was such an amazing way to be when you are 16 years old. Then moving forward,
yes,
I never, I went this was 78. So then of course we lost a lot of people in the 80s and I went through this with all my really close friends and I had a gay husband and spent a lot of nights down at Rave and all these other very famous bars in West Hollywood in the 80s, Atlas and I can't imagine how I would have turned out as a person without these amazing people in my life. It makes me get all, because without them, I wouldn't be who I am.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't have confidence. I wouldn't accept anybody the way they are. Because when you're exposed to that, when you're that young and it's positive.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just helps you. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody.
Changed my life.
Did not know this was going to happen. This is how much people in that community mean to me.
Yeah. Well, we keep mentioning the 80s and the 80s because I always love education. I always love to get the real world word out there to people that may not know, may not understand, may not have lived through that time. If you're curious about what we went through in that time and what the reality of the hardcore reality of what that was about, there's a book, but it's also a mini series on HBO. It's called And the Band Played On.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn about what went on in the 80s and the tragedy of the AIDS crisis, watch Anna Band Playing On. Then
Yeah.
you'll get to the effects. You'll get to see how communities like Diana's talking about band together and stuck together to uh, take people in their homes and accept people we were shoved in corners and lost and forgotten, and in those corners we found family and we found community, and it's an amazing thing.
Funerals. Co-worker's brother, who I was also friends with, and it was the most gut wrenching. I've been to a lot of funerals. It was gut wrenching. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
he was very lucky, and that his sister, and this is back when you couldn't get married, but he called his husband his spouse. And I mean, what a powerful. I went to, of course, too many of these funerals, but the first one was always the hardest.
Yeah.
So I lived through a lot of people and lost people during that. And it was really hard. And it was hard because there was so much hate. And I didn't understand why, because to me, these people were heroes.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. The hate was scary. It was frightening being a gay person. It was not only frightening to just be in our community and have sex and have love and whatever. It was also frightening to go out into the regular community because people were looking at us like,
Freak.
disease carriers and demons.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
And, I think, too, it depends on where you live, because I'm from Brooklyn and then I lived in Los Angeles. So I think when you're in a city, when you're in Los Angeles, when you're in New York City, when you're in Seattle, I think the city people have a little bit more of a a lot more community. They're just, I mean, I'm used to a diverse group of people from all walks of life. And I saw it here, but I didn't see it as much as I think other people were experiencing, even though it was here. Sorry, I'm okay now. Let's see. We have lots of comments, guys. Let's see here. Blaze wants to talk about. So we have to check out this Steven Universe, huh?
So I just checked.
Steven Universe is pretty good. It's a cartoon. It's pretty good.
Yeah, the person that I know is
cartoon.
Jennifer Paz, and she plays Lapis on there. I could ask Jennifer Paz if she wants to come on.
That would be great. I think Blaze would for sure love that. I guess, and so would the rest of us. Let's see. We had. Oh, thank you, Debbie. She says we all look amazing.
We all look
Debbie,
fabulous.
you're amazing.
You are amazing, Debbie. And Alicia, it's so nice to have you here.
Yes, Alicia, welcome. We're glad you're here.
And it's fucking fabulous. Yes, it is fucking fabulous.
What?
Debbie was saying that the gay community went through all of that, and now it's fucking fabulous. It's just like anything else. Hate and other things still exist, like anti-Semitism and others. But
unfortunately, that's something we're never going to 100% change.
Yeah.
Because you can't change people.
The
You can change who you are, but you can't change other people. And unfortunately, there's always going to be those people who are just very negative and hateful in their heart.
History has proven that when you make big, huge social change, when you go through dramatic social change,
which we're kind of doing now.
We went through dramatic social change with the Obama administration. Huge leaps and bounds that we've ever experienced before in our life.
Which we were all so happy about, all four of us.
And then now there's a step back, and that happens.
Try 5 miles back.
Yeah. So now we're gonna have to fight again to get back to, when Joe takes office, we have to get back to, right where we were, and that's why the fight continues. Look what's happening with Black Lives Matter right now. They've been fighting since the dawn of time. They came to this country as slaves and slave owners. They're still fighting the memorabilia of slaves and how they're treated. So it's always a fight. It's always a struggle. When you're different or considered different from your known society, the white Christian conservative society, we will continue to fight. But look how we survive.
Yeah.
And how everyone you meet changes your life. And to me, like I said, it's so important to me. Anyway, sorry, you guys. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional here. It really did. It changed my
Because
life.
it's real. Because it's real.
Thing.
Without that amazing community, I don't know where I'd be as a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't know. I went from doing that to being able to teach people how to use vibrators without a judgment, and
Right. That's one thing
Guy has lived quite the extraordinary life, let me tell you all. One day we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
one thing
that's just
that
because I'm
you
older.
you learn from hanging out with a gay community or a gay family is there really isn't any judgment, because that's what the community is about. Is about escaping that judgment.
Mhm.
And, I mean,
I was
we've got
with
queens.
Pat Benatar is one of my personal heroes, and I was with one of my husband's friends, who is very like, she wasn't afraid. She grabbed my hand and she dragged me up to the front of the stage. I just have had nothing but wonderful things to say about this community and how they embrace everyone.
Yep.
You're right.
It's just, and with some people, and it was weird because I have a Catholic policeman as a father, and he was letting his 16-year-old daughter hang out with. I mean, I spent the night. I used to go down for the weekend. We would stay at our Frankenfurter's apartment because he lived next to the theater, and it was a woman turning into a man, and people would question my father, and my father would just be like, my daughter knows what she's doing. I felt more protected with those group of people. Like, when regular straight guys would come up and try to like flirt with me or do whatever, they would all just gather around me.
Flock.
See, that's phenomenal, because I always felt ostracized. I always felt unprotected until I found something, later in life. And it's a very scary thing for a young man to go through, in their teenage years. So if you guys are out there and you're part of a community like Diana's talking about, embrace that, share that, bring people into that.
And our show is a platform for that. If anybody we wanted to try to get some people to come on today to share a story about how their story, or how someone in the LGBT, the gay, I'm just going to say gay community. You guys all know what it means. The LGBT community, how it has changed their life. Even up to us, we as a group would not be here had it not been for Ryan Murphy, who is a gay man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
again, there's one more thing that has brought friends together and touched lives, and he doesn't even know it.
No, I mean, who know, and we did invite people if they wanted to come on, or some people they're going to watch later. If this is something you guys want to revisit, or somebody would like to come on the show and talk about something, just hit us up on our Facebook page or send us a message. If somebody wanted to, you don't have to even show your face. You can just come and talk and have a little avatar.
Look at this. Bam.
Yep. Bam, just like that.
We welcome people who want to come on and talk about it. We've made a really big part of our channel doing RuPaul, and we're going to move to Legendary. And there's some other things happening. I think Billy Porter's doing a thing that Michael wanted to talk about.
Pose is fun.
All night they're doing a Pose
and then we did Pose when it was on for a little bit because we were getting ourselves together at the end of Pose. Pose is now on Netflix. I'm sure everybody.
We're debating covering.
I'm sure all you guys who are watching this have seen Pose, but it's definitely worth a rewatch if you haven't watched it. It'll change your life. I just felt like, even though I wasn't in the ballroom because I was in the Los Angeles part of that, I was in that community so much, and I spent 2 years of my life with nothing but gay people. And they didn't. The wonderful thing is, it wasn't like there were, and this was what my friends, not my friends, but my grandmother's friends had a problem with, is they thought they were going to be predatory towards me because I was younger, and they're still not.
No, it's the complete opposite.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like when you hang around
and can I point something out real quick too? Just something that really bothers me, and a general consensus with people who do not know the gay community, are not part of it, have not been able to experience anything in a gay atmosphere, community, anything like that. No, nothing has ever touched them like that. Um, you deal with all these people who, like we were saying, spew the hate, but people, it just really bothers me that people think that because someone is queer or homo, that means that they instantly want to turn you that way.
Mhm.
Trust me, honey, they got bigger fish to fry. They know when you're straight, and if you are, they may mess with you. Oh God, do they love to mess with people when they know you're straight and you're scared of them? But they're not out to try and convert you. That is
No.
not what gay people
No.
do at all. It never will be about that.
The one
So
thing I
I
love
just
that I've
want to
always
say
heard,
that.
the one thing I've always heard from the other side, the hate side, and being a gay man, that's has always struck me as absolutely bizarre, is this whole notion of a gay agenda. That we have an
Yes.
agenda to the world that we're going to do. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? Nobody ever gave me a copy of the gay agenda. I ain't got nothing.
You're like, where's my copy? I want to know
Here's
what the
my
plan is.
daughter. Hello,
I have
Stafford.
never,
Glad you could come.
I have never converted your kids. I have never taken away your husband. I have never met a straight person in the locker room. It's like all of this stuff that people feel. It all comes from that fear baiting, the fear
Yes.
baiting of Christian conservatism and the white supremacy kind of bullshit that's going on. People want to scare people into believing monstrous behavior, and that's so they paint us like monsters. Just
And
like
I
when
think
Donald
that,
Trump comes down the escalator, he says that all Mexicans are rapists. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
it's the same
I
thing.
mean, so my stepdaughter made it, and she's on the East Coast, and she goes to sleep early because she has children, and they get her up really early. Her father, and oh, sweetie, I miss you too. Her father and my current husband, because her father was my ex-husband. The one thing about the two of them, and maybe this is why, is I could take both of them to drag clubs, and they're as straight men. And my ex-husband was a Marine, and he thought it was great.
Yeah.
He
You
loved.
have the best times of your life at a gay bar. Oh
When
my God.
you
If I
can
have a
take
choice, that's where I'm going
brother
any
who's a
day.
straight man, and he's fine with it. It tells you so much about that person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And Mike
especially,
and I
like you said, a very manly
just-
man like a Marine. That says a lot.
Oh yeah, he was like, he was from, he's from the Midwest, and when he came out here and we started going to Hollywood, and I said, I like to go to West Hollywood, and he said, fine, sure, let's go. And he was totally down for just going and hanging out and meeting all of my other friends.
You go to a gay bar, you're gonna have a good time.
That just takes that person to another level. And then when I met the man that my Mike, you guys all know I'm in love with my husband. He's from San Francisco. He
The
grew
gay
up
capital of the U.S.
So our second date was to a drag club called the Queen Mary, and the Diana Ross impressionist fell in love with him and sat on his lap for half of her performance, and he was like lighting her cigarette. Just all good stuff. Good stuff.
It is good stuff. We are normal people with normal problems.
No, you're better.
And yet
You guys
we
so
are
much
able to. We're so much more.
acceptance for anybody.
Yeah, we're so much more tolerant of crap that's going on with anybody because
Even I've
Very,
seen a lot of gay people who are actually very tolerant of the people, unfortunately, who are not tolerant of them, which says a lot about someone. You know what I
used to
mean?
I used to be, not anymore. I stopped that mess during Prop 8. But that's sad, but I did.
You're trying. Okay, so Alicia says, let's
I
see
don't want
here.
to change the topic, but I do want to bring up the fact that as a channel, we are donating
Oh yeah.
to
Yes,
Trevor
you guys.
Project.
Every once in a while, somebody wants to give us a super chat or ask if we're on Patreon. We're not here to do any of that. We don't even get monetized. We're just here to be with you guys and hang out. So just for this particular event that we're doing is we're trying to raise some money for the Trevor Project. If you watch Drag Race, you've heard of it. It's and there's a link at the bottom. And Melinda, tell us what we're the amount of money and the
Okay.
we're doing this.
Well, the Trevor Project, let me start by saying, is a non-for-profit group that helps at-risk and just regular LGBTQ teenagers, homeless teenagers, people when, these kids who, like Mike was saying, when you have no idea and you're so confused and you're even ashamed of yourself, because that's one of the biggest things that the Trevor Project tries to, I want to say, slow down, eliminate eventually, is the teen suicide rate within the LGBTQ community, because of dealing with the ashamedness, the embarrassment, the not knowing where you fit in general. Because as teenagers, we all know what we've gone through hell as a teenager and not feeling like we fit in. So imagine what these people feel like who are going through that, and then much more on top of it, dealing with your own sexual identity. So they combat that really hard. And if they can't help you, they will point you in the direction of someone who definitely can help you. So we are trying to raise funds, like we said, for the Trevor Project to help these teenagers. And our goal is set at $333, because 3 is the universal number of love. And we would like to ask you guys if you could donate $1 if you can. If not, we understand too. You don't have to feel obligated, but if you can give something, we would greatly appreciate it. And all of these proceeds go straight to the Trevor Project. They do not come
even
to us
Facebook
first.
is waiving the fees.
Yeah.
Yes, they're waiving the fees, and the proceeds do not come to us at all. If you donate, it goes straight to the Trevor Project, and your name is then linked with it as a donor. So they will send you a thank you, and we will also personally send you a thank you. And like Di was saying, you can go onto our Facebook page to donate. There is a link in the description below. So please feel free, but don't feel obligated.
Yeah, I mean, $1 is great.
Yeah.
You know?
Every little bit helps.
I would say a quarter is 50 cents, but I think $1 is the minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, Blaze is bringing up cartoons, putting more LGBT stuff in it, which is a great segue, because I want to show you a little bit about what Marvel Comics went through, just as its unity, to show you kind of what the world went through, or what we went through, in certain periods of time. It's very interesting how I see we all look at comic books and cartoons and stuff to see that it's fun and entertainment and whatever. Well, there's a whole bunch of politics.
Link to the fundraiser.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, B. Appreciate that. There is a link to the Trevor Project fundraiser right there, guys.
Yeah. In the 70s and then turned into the 80s, Marvel Comics actually had a no gay policy. They had a policy where you cannot refer to, not even through their characters, but even talk about characters talking about other gay stuff in life. It was a no policy, which is fascinating, because that's exactly what the 80s were about. Silence equals death. You couldn't talk about it. You couldn't mention it. And then in the 90s,
literally though, you're very literal with that too, because it really did. It very well could mean death.
Yep. And so in the 90s, as we were fighting and as we were going through this silence equals death protests and becoming pride, becoming marches and stuff, they kind of lifted that and they started hinting at it. But it's very interesting how they handled it, because just like us in society going out and trying to find our place in the world, we were kind of hinting at things and skirting the issue and, talking to our office mates as, kind of always around the topic and never with the topic. And that's how Marvel Comics handled it for a while. There was always hints, there's always looks, there's always little innuendos. And then this gentleman comes along. This is a character called North Star. And he's part of a team called
Alpha. I love North Star.
He's our first openly gay character in all of comic book history.
And guess what? He didn't convert the others.
Nope.
It's okay.
He came on the scene,
okay.
Marvel Comics said, you know what? Go for it. They allowed North Star to be completely open, to be just to celebrate gay lifestyle, to educate on gay lifestyle, and it was a really, really big deal when this happened. In fact, his coming out comic was the first comic book issue to ever be awarded. There's an award that gay community does is called uh, what was it? Glamatron or Glamatropic, or it's awards dealing with science fiction, horror, and fantasy
Yeah.
with gay education. This is the only comic book to ever have won that award in history because this coming out was so important at
When
the
did
time.
it come out?
So culturally
It
important.
came out in 1992. 92 was his coming out. He was introduced in 83. He came out in
Yeah.
92. A
Yeah,
decade.
and there was always, I remember the big controversy with that because they hadn't said anything, but it was blatantly obvious if you knew the character. And if you look back on it now, it was so obvious. It
Yep.
really was.
Right.
And so that caused a lot of controversy.
That paved the way for these two guys, which is going to come into Marvel Comics now big time again. This is Wiccan and Hulkling. They are actually our first major out prominent couple in Marvel. There's been others that are kind of like their storylines kind of come and gone. These two were kind of brought on the scene as a couple and celebrated as a couple. Wiccan is the son of Scarlet Witch, which is going to be big in the MCU. He will be introduced in the television show WandaVision. So we're actually going to see Wiccan. Hulkling is big this year because of the major Marvel crossover event. He is now going to be the most important, powerful character in all of Marvel Comics. Our young gay Hulkling. So that's powerful.
So that
Well,
tells you
and
something right there.
I think a lot of that is because people who are like my age, who grew up with the 80s, with seeing all that now, even to young mothers like Alicia, like Stephanie, they just Melinda, you know.
When I'm old,
I'm just saying like on Riverdale. I mean, on regular TV shows, there's gay people, and they're not treated any. It's definitely evolved. It has to have, because if not, you wouldn't have like two queer people. There's like four queer people on Riverdale, and on Riverdale, a lot of bi people too. And I mean, that's like what teenagers watch, which I think is great.
yeah, it's amazing the way the entertainment industry has embraced the culture. It
Yes,
really is.
absolutely.
Because
Young
it could have
Avengers-
gone a totally different way.
These guys, when they came out in Young Avengers as a couple, the series Young Avengers were actually given a GLAAD award to how important this was.
Were they?
For them
that's
to be
great.
gay.
That's
There's
awesome.
another really important milestone. This is interesting. This shows you now we've got gay characters and gay couples. Now we've got the whole gay marriage thing. So North Star was introduced in 83, came out in 92. He married his husband on the front page of a special comic in what I'm missing the date. It was another decade later. So again, showing you the times.
Yeah.
How 2000,
It stayed with the time.
2008, and then so on the cover of Marvel Comics, this hit the newsstand. North Star and his husband marrying.
Oh, I love
And
it.
this Astonishing X-Men number
I
51.
want to cry. I'm like, that
This
is
is
so
huge.
freaking
I
awesome.
To see this on newsstands where anybody just walks in, and it was a special wedding issue. It was just about them. And the issue before this one was about their proposal. They had all these different covers for this. Like one of them, you could get
You
another
can
one.
tell when Mike starts to get excited when he's talking because his camera bounces because it's on his
well,
head.
that's Goga.
It's on his head, which means he's bouncing.
That's Goga. This cover of it, of the special wedding, this is a wedding album. He's got Sue and Reed Richards, their wedding picture, and then North Star and his husband. You could put your own or have artists draw your own picture into their be part of their wedding album.
That's cool.
They really celebrated this issue. So it's a big fold out. Got all the Marvel X-Men characters at their wedding.
Well, they have to be there. If they weren't there, I mean, what kind of wedding would it be?
Prominent characters to watch out for that are gay now. They're coming around. Iceman just came out.
Yes,
And
Iceman.
what's interesting about Iceman's story, he's been around since the very issue number 1 of X-Men back in the 60s. And Iceman finally came out, and
That was another one of those obvious ones, too.
Yeah, his story has been following his own struggles with dating. So he has this whole miniseries where it was just about him dating, which is really cool. Then we've got Mystique. Mystique had a lover in the comics who was killed. So it's one of the early coupling that they had, and Mystique's girlfriend.
And now, I thought Mystique was supposed to be bisexual. or is she just a lesbian?
She's bisexual.
That's
She's
what I
been
thought.
having both
That's what I
ways,
thought.
yeah. But her big storyline with her lover was a female who was murdered, and there was that whole ordeal. And then for the movie series, then something to really watch out for after Wiccan and Hulkling come aboard is we will have our first openly gay character in Thor: Love and Thunder, and that is Valkyrie. Valkyrie will be MCU's very first openly gay lesbian character on the big screen, and they have already confirmed it. They're probably going to pair her with a lover on the screen. So, yay!
Yeah, I mean,
and then
we're
another
just
one.
very happy. Where we are now is just so much better than we were.
Yep. And finally, the
oh,
last
sorry.
one is really surprising that this actor wants his storyline brought to the big screen. And Debbie, you'll love this. Deadpool.
Oh,
He's actually gender fluid, and Ryan Reynolds wants to do that so bad on the big screen. So we'll see if Ryan Reynolds gets his way. Interesting. So it's yeah, it's a neat retrospect to look at history through the eyes of comics.
yeah. People don't realize. I mean, not even just the gay culture. If you look at comics in general, like you were saying, like it's always with the times and the struggles, and then that we have the heroes that overcome these struggles for us. So it's their way of telling us, hey, these times suck, but we will get through it, and this is how you can be your own superhero, as Stanley always said.
When we've seen things, ebb and flow in the comics too, or cartoons, where they have a character who's obviously gay, and then they pull it back, and they make them straight, and then there's all that weirdness about that stuff. So it's like it really reflects history. It really mirrors history.
So,
I love my pan hero. Yeah, that's
hero. So yeah, Alicia, Steph, we appreciate people like you, and I think more people are more like us now. I think that and now you have, and even the generation now, once they become parents, they're all gender fluid.
I think all the work that we put in for the majority of society, I'm hoping by the time like my niece's children have been raised, these kids will be looking at LGBT issues as what were these other people thinking? Why is this an issue? And we're seeing more and more of that with the young generation.
Yeah, and then I think that's a lot why the Pride turned down from a march to a festival, because it's there's always going to be something. I have a friend of mine who moved from a place like this to a place that's not as accepting because he had to, and it's just he's not around a lot of his community as much as he used to be. And I see some of his posts, and I mean, and he doesn't care. He'll blur some Madonna, put his big rainbow flag on his car, and drive around the town just to make people feel uncomfortable. So
that's right. Mm-hmm. One thing about Pride that I've always been kind of about right now is the monetization of Pride. So all I gotta say is a public service announcement. If you can, when you're celebrating Pride, if you choose to go out to the parades, if you choose to go out to celebrations, whatever, try and do your business at local gay businesses, because those are the people you should, because a lot of these mainstream businesses have gone gay as for the sake of celebrating with us, I guess. Target always has a big gay
which is nice to see that they're supporting you. Yes. But it's just like around Christmas time when they say, hey, don't shop at Walmart, shop at your local businesses.
Right. Shop at your local gay stores, because show them the support, and that's their livelihood.
You have a comment, Mike?
Who?
From my daughter.
Yes. Yeah. They don't understand what we've gone through. Yeah. It's awesome. My nephew Jackson, who's like, when his mom was telling him about two men kissing they saw on TV or something, and he's like, well, why is that bad? She said, I didn't say it was bad. She says, but the guy on the TV got mad at them, and she's like, wow, it does not enter their brain that it's
well, it's just like kids don't see color, kids don't see sexuality.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this all happened probably when we're gone. But hopefully, as a species, we are able to evolve.
Yeah.
'Cause we
Hopefully,
know
all the
what
work
to
that
make
we
of.
put in before goes to good use, and we really elaborate
And
society
yes,
change.
Steph, you are definitely doing something right, my darling, and is so is Alicia, and so is Melinda, and anyone who has children. So is Kaylee. People
Oh
who are raising them to, like it's not who you love
yes,
or what you love. It's not how you love or who you love. It's that you love.
Yep.
Love is love is
Love
love
is
is
love is
love
love
is
is love.
love.
Love is love, and that's what all of this is about. Um,
right.
so, do we need code word? Do we need a wand of the day?
Code word, code
No,
word.
the one of the day was this one, our special one, our
That's
special
the
pink
one of the
fairy one.
day.
That was the one of the day, the fairy one.
Are you
Special.
going to turn it back on or
Yeah,
No,
turn
I
it
took
back
the
on.
batteries out because it was
I don't know?
blinding
Just
me.
for a second.
I took the batteries out.
Oh,
He said
Yeah,
it was
it's
blinding
blinding me.
him.
Yeah. But this is this one, our little fairy one.
Well, I
So,
just want to say something real quick. Part of my own personal story is kind of like Di was saying, I was introduced to the gay community at a very young age. Honestly, I believe it was about 13, 14 when I met drag queens. And I worked with a bunch of gay people. And they talk differently, but they held themselves so broad and with confidence. And, even when somebody would try to smack them down, they'd have a clap back for them. And it's just like, that taught me at such a young age, like you were saying, about confidence, about, not caring what people thought about me. And we still do. I mean, everybody does to a degree, but to know that you're fully accepted somewhere. And then I was introduced to like the gay club scene, and I started, getting snuck into the gay clubs and
Mhm.
stuff. And my eyes were just opened at, 14, 15 years old.
Oh yeah.
And it was amazing to me. And I'll tell you, some of the best times I've ever had are at a gay club. The only
Yes,
time
ma'am.
I've gone to straight clubs, I've gone to gay clubs. And the only time I've ever gotten up and danced in a cage, almost every time I've gone, is at a gay club. Okay. And,
Being
you
young,
know,
free, in a gay club is
yeah.
yeah.
And it's wonderful. But I mean, on a sad note, kind of like we were talking about too, I personally, obviously, I'm not going to mention any names. I personally have a very dear, close to my heart, what you would almost call a best friend. We've just been out of touch for a while, which really saddens me. But life happens. But he also started taking me to a specific gay club in my area. Instead of me having to drive way out to the city, we found one closer and everything, which was amazing. And he just opened my eyes, and he accepted me no matter what. When other people wouldn't for anything, he would. And um, he was then, after I knew him already for, God, 12 years, I think, he found out he was HIV positive. And I'm going to cry talking about this because I remember the day that he told me. He took me, and I knew something was wrong because he said, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Let's go hang out." I assumed, okay, we're going to our club. He took me to a regular straight bar that we didn't go to that often. And he sat me down. It was a quiet little place, not many people there. And he sat me down and he told me, I mean, it took a little bit for him to get it out, but he told me, and he said, "I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to do." And then they wanted to start him on the medication, the cocktail, as we call it. And he refused. He did not want to take it. He did not want to go through that. And again, that makes me sad because I haven't talked to him in a while. So I'm not exactly sure if he's even still here or where he stands physically. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change that experience for anything in the world. And I know he wouldn't necessarily change his life for anything in the world either. Yeah, he's sad and he's heartbroken that, he was struck in with this disease. But, he lived his life. He was happy. He had people around him who loved him. I mean, still does, and just so, I mean, you never know how you're going to touch someone. And especially with these parents who aren't as open-minded, about, if especially the fathers, let me point that out. Okay, mothers are more accepting than fathers are with a lot of different things, but especially when it comes to sexuality, and especially if you have a little boy. So I just want to say, just remember that your child is your child no matter what. They love you no matter what. That's never going to change. And you should love them the same way, because they're never going to change as your child. They're still your child, whether they transition, whether they come out, it doesn't matter. Your child is your child. And like we said, love is love is love. And you cannot turn your back on your own flesh and blood.
It's hard. I mean, you guys know I just lost my father just recently,
Yeah.
a couple months
And
ago,
again,
and
our condolences
it's,
to you.
it's a perfect story that you're telling right now, because he died with that unfinished business between the two of us, and we
And
never
that's horrible. You don't want to leave it like that, because I've seen so many people regret it
Yep.
horribly when
I do.
someone's gone, because
Yep.
they didn't accept them for who they were.
Yep, it's been hard dealing with that. It's been hard dealing with not having that conversation, not having to find out the who's and what's and whys of the way he was thinking and what he really thought, and so for young parents out there, just know that this affects people for the rest of their life,
Yeah.
and it really will screw
One
them up.
thing you say to them, one negative thing you say to a child can affect them for the rest of their lives. Not to mention the fact that you disown them or want nothing to do with them. You could
Yep.
say something. You could, all you have to say to your child to break your child down, I'm disappointed in you.
That's all it takes.
That your child will remember that for the rest of their lives.
Yep. Stuff.
So, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up. We just want to mention again, if you guys feel free to donate to the Trevor Project on our Facebook page and the link down below. And please,
And we
if
thank
can
you
give
all for
here.
coming here to celebrate with
Yes.
us.
Celebrate
So we're gonna do
good
something
times.
special. We're gonna do something special for the Code special tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna tomorrow night is RuPaul, but we are gonna talk about the post special sometime this weekend.
Yes.
And then we're gonna debate if we're gonna recap Pose season 1, season 2. So maybe that's something you guys would like.
Yeah, let us know if that's something you guys would like to see. For sure.
And
Yeah.
please,
Paris is burning.
please,
Paris is burning.
Please give us a thumbs up if you guys like this today.
Yes.
We don't care as much as YouTube seems to really care.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will go and watch a video and they won't thumbs up it or even thumbs down it.
I never do.
And I mean, we're all guilty of it.
Thumbs
I guess
up,
it's
but hey,
very
a thumb is
important.
a thumb.
I guess
I
it's
have a channel. I
important.
never do.
It's not important to us. It's important to YouTube.
Yes, their algorithms are very important.
But thank you for coming. And it was I miss your face too, my girl. Oh my gosh, I was supposed to be there because of everything that's going on. I missed my visit. I was supposed to have been there last month, and I didn't get to go.
Thank
see
you, Alicia. By the way, I just saw your comment.
We will soon.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you, Alicia. Everybody, it's just so nice to feel love, and that's all there is. This channel is all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we're talking about a serial killer or
You don't have to understand a person.
Hey, what is a gay serial killer? Hey,
You do not have to understand a
you just
person.
gave me an idea for a new story.
Oh yeah,
Just remember that.
it's not
For
you
people
love,
that are out there listening,
not how
remember,
you
you don't
love.
have to understand to love
It's
somebody.
just
You don't have
that
to
you love.
understand them.
Just love. And thank you all so much. And if you can donate $1 or so, please do that. We're going to leave it open for a week or so.
Love is love.
Yeah, it's open
Hopefully
until
they're
the
going to go
10th.
make love.
Yeah, till July 10th. So you have until July 10th to donate to the Trevor Project.
Bomb
So
chicka
please,
bomb.
and also,
coming out
the link
tonight.
to our
I know
Facebook
we're
page,
a little over on our time.
but the link to the Trevor Project is on our Facebook page in the description below. But if you guys could please, even if you can't donate, if you know someone who can, share this post. That's what we ask. If you can't donate, share the post, because you never know if someone else may feel that they can or they want to.
Yes, Debbie, that makes sense, by the way.
So I think that
No,
about wraps it up, right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry we went a little bit over. We were all just
That's
very
okay.
excited.
We gave everybody a special festive stream today.
That's
oh,
right.
Liz, I love you too, my beautiful grandbaby. Mwah.
Aww.
Thank you so much.
Love wins.
So with that all being said, we love you. We love you for being here. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Have a great
Bye,
night,
everybody.
everybody. Mwah.